Welcome to Still Untitled, the Adam Savage Project. I'm Will.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Norm.
Welcome back, Will.
Hey, guys.
Your
Where
beard
the hell
is
were you?
slightly shorter.
I went to, no, it's I'm got to go get it. It's reached the point that I can't maintain it myself, and I have to go consult a professional immediately following this podcast.
Oh, wow.
I went to visit my parents in D.C. outside D.C. over the holidays.
For Thanksgiving. You stayed a while.
And rather than travel on Thanksgiving weekend, which I'm literally never going to do in my life, we went early and we stayed late.
That's awesome.
And we went, I shouldn't tell you guys this, but my sister, because of my sister's job, we had to have Thanksgiving on Tuesday. So we had our Thanksgiving dinner on Tuesday, and then she went back to take care of her barn. And we went to museums on Thanksgiving Day.
Oh.
They're open.
They're open.
I know almost no one's in them.
I rode the metro in, one other person on the car the whole way there.
Wow.
We got off at L'Enfant Plaza, the nearest metro station to the Air and Space Museum, walked 4 blocks. It was like a zombie movie in downtown DC because we didn't see any people on the street.
There's certain.
This is a genius hack.
It was walked straight into the metal detectors at Air and Space.
Yeah.
No line. We walked across the mall. It took us 3 hours to see all the stuff that we wanted to see with a 6-year-old at Air and Space.
Well, there's certain public attractions, like open to the public, not necessarily run by the government, that are perfectly aligned with the holidays. That, for example, Disneyland on Super Bowl Sunday. Also,
empty.
very empty.
Ooh.
The parents don't want to take their kids because many of them are at home watching the Super Bowl.
It's my only experience with this is years ago, Julie and I took a road trip with the dogs through the Southwest, and we were in Sedona, Arizona on, well, we ended up like driving from San Francisco to LA on Christmas Eve, which was great. No one on the road.
Perfect, yeah.
We woke up in LA at the Marmont. We had a lovely breakfast. We drove to Vegas. Again, Christmas Day, no one on the road. Played some poker in Vegas on Christmas, which felt awesome.
Yeah.
And then we ended up through some various machinations in Sedona, Arizona on New Year's Day. And we were going to head back to play the $2 no limit hold'em tables at Caesars when we woke up and we're like, we want to be home. And it was New Year's Day, and we made it from Sedona, Arizona to San Francisco in 12 hours flat.
Oh my God.
We didn't see another car for most of the. I got the Prius up to 114 on Route 40 headed west towards LA.
There's a statute of limitations on that.
We do not endorse this.
No, I actually. So Route 40 is like, dozens of miles of this very slight downgrade, and I'm just slowly letting the Prius creep up and up and up. And it was just after
you're just charging. At that point, officer.
It was just after Woz had gotten pulled over for doing 102 on 280. So I took a picture of my dashboard with 114 on it, and the finger, and I sent it to Woz.
Still Untitled is not an advice podcast, and the things that Adam are saying should not be attempted by anyone.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway,
I would
that
love
sounds awesome. At the museum.
We went to Natural History and walked straight to the Hope Diamond. There was nobody in there.
Oh my gosh.
My daughter looked at it and she's like, "That's not as big as I was expecting." Well, she was expecting the baseball diamond from the Great Muppet Caper, I think.
Right. Or Lao Che's diamond from Temple of Doom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She hasn't seen. She's 6. I'm not showing her Temple of Doom. You're out of your mind.
Hey, sweetie, I'm going to show you someone plunging their hand into someone's heart.
Yeah, Mola Ram.
Kalima.
What a terrible.
Yeah, only
exists.
one Indiana
It exists.
Jones.
I'm glad it's not considered part of the canon.
And headcanon. I appreciate all the employees of those places that work on those days.
We thanked everybody. Like I am talking to security guards, and they're like, "Look, I would much rather be here today because tomorrow's going to be living hell."
Oh, yes.
But the thing we noticed was in the afternoon, like a lot of people that live in DC, rather than sit around and watch football on the TV, it seemed like they would come down to the museums because they were not full, but there were more people there in the afternoon.
Amazing.
So people had like an early dinner or something would come out, and it was my favorite way to spend Thanksgiving afternoon, I think, ever. So
amazing.
Feels like there needs to be some type of zine that is shared of the list of places and holidays and events and public events that are aligned in which you get to be at popular and interesting places with the fewest amount of people possible. In San Francisco during Burning Man would fit into that.
And actually, to be clear, San Francisco during Thanksgiving this year was about as empty as I have ever seen San Francisco.
think about the holidays that you went home to see your parents on when you were like 26, and San Francisco will empty out.
No, it was even more barren and empty than Burning Man. It was really surprising this year, but it was quite unique.
I love you get dinner reservations, you go to movies, whatever.
We went to Delfina Pizzeria at like 7 p.m. and there was no one in the place on like a Thursday. Oh no, it wasn't Thursday because that's Thanksgiving. It was Wednesday, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, welcome back.
Yeah, it was a great trip. Lovely trip. We had a good time. I watched a bunch of movies on the plane on the way back.
Anything interesting?
I watched Ready or Not.
Is that trailer looked cruel.
I thought the trailer made me think it was like a torture porn.
Yeah,
kind
that's
of,
exactly what I
like
looked
light
like.
hostel
Yeah,
type situation.
It looked.
It's gory.
Yeah,
There's a lot of gore.
That's fine.
There's
it's not
some
cruel?
over the top violence. It is, if it is cruel, it is cruel for a purpose.
Yeah.
And it did not seem inherently. It did not read as torture porn to me.
So
I quite liked it.
It
I thought it was really
stars Samara Weaving, who I believe is Hugo Weaving's niece. I want to say, and she is also like Hugo Weaving from I think Australia. They're basically she and Margot Robbie are like cut from the same cloth.
I thought it was Margot Robbie for the first like 15 minutes of the movie.
Okay.
And she starred in a movie on that's on Netflix called The Babysitter, where also a very tongue-in-cheek, fun horror slasher movie.
Oh, okay.
And this is very much in the same vein as well.
Like whoever wrote this was like, I'm gonna take an audience that's aware of the concept of Chekhov's gun and just give them so much information that they can't do anything with it.
Oh, nice.
And every time something that looks dangerous shows up, it's used for some dangerous purposes,
but
never in the way you expect.
And everyone that's hunting her is taking the movie and the plot too seriously, while she's the only one that's the Han Solo, the self-aware. This is ridiculous.
Oh.
Oh, there's one person in the Hunters that is helpful. Even anyway.
Well, speaking of that, I actually watched. I watched several episodes of the new Netflix series, "The Movies That Made Us."
Okay. So this is, what is it? 6 episodes. It's a spin-off off of The Toys That Made Us. Again, nostalgia is very big.
Yeah.
And so it's interviews with the people who made movies like Ghostbusters.
So the 3 I watched. I watched Die Hard, and I watched Ghostbusters, and I watched Dirty Dancing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a retelling of how the film got made, often talking to the producers, talking to people that worked on the film. Here's who you're never talking to. Any of the people who are in the film.
Really?
Any of the A-list actors who are in the film. For Die Hard, you got Bonnie Bedelia, and you got the reporter, and you got the cop, but you don't get Bruce.
You get Reginald.
Wonder why that is.
Well, I mean, it's getting these people's permission, getting them to spend a half day in a studio in LA.
And they've done it. They've done it. I mean, these movies
Bruce Willis is tired of talking about Die Hard.
And they rely, it's a very behind the music kind of format. The narrator redounds to like puns repeatedly, which is fine.
I love the 80s. It's like that when VH1 used to do those shows. It's like that, produced by Netflix. It gives you like now more so than ever gives great like contextual awareness of what the public perceptions of those films were
since
like.
the 80s are back.
And they talk about them. And so there's a great part in Dirty Dancing where they cover these 2 amazing women that got the film made, and also this guy from Vestron and his wife that were key in getting the movie made. But only 2 of those people made any money from the movie, and the other 2 got totally frozen out of the net profits. And they're pissed about it, and it's on camera. So that was actually you never quite get the inside baseball. So I was grateful for that. They're very enjoyable candy-like episodes.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of the making of stuff, we do a lot of coverage of behind the scenes stuff, and a lot of times it's in promotion of the thing that's still out there, or people still have working relationships, and they. There is to some degree a sugarcoating.
There's a publicist in the room.
The relationships. Yeah, exactly. And how people can be candid about certain things, but it's not until you're like 30 years after the fact that when people really give
and also they probably
fucks.
didn't have real NDAs then.
In the Dirty
either.
Dancing one, there is a point. They're talking about who auditioned to play Patrick Swayze's character, and among them, Billy Zane. And they say
that's an alternate reality.
Billy Zane was old enough to play Patrick Swayze's character then?
In the show, they go, the problem with Billy Zane is that he danced like he learned to dance at his bar mitzvah. And then you cut to a scene of Billy Zane dancing, and it's exactly that.
Oh, they had the footage?
Oh, yeah. And they have him doing It's just like you never see that, right? You hear Stuart Townsend spent a week playing Aragorn, but you're never going to see the footage. So you actually see some of this footage here.
You would never we would not remember that movie if Patrick Swayze couldn't have danced.
No.
That whole movie, yeah.
And the best part is they actually, there's like this great little narrative bit in it when they see Patrick Swayze, the woman who wrote the movie is like, he's the one. But his resume says no dancing. And she's like, shit. And so they ignore him for a few weeks. And then it turns out that his mother is the biggest dance teacher in Texas.
Yeah.
And he grew up doing
ballet
and real dancing. But he blew out his knee playing football in high school. And so he doesn't like to dance. So there's a lot of coverage of the fact that he was like in serious pain for a good portion of filming.
Was that Patrick Swayze's breakout? Was he in stuff
that's
before
post
that?
Roadhouse, isn't
I
it?
couldn't remember if Roadhouse was first or that
Actually,
was first.
I could. You know what? I'm not sure.
Because that was such a low budget movie. It was shot at like the Greenbrier or something, right?
It was shot between the Greenbrier in South Carolina and another place in Virginia.
The Greenbrier's in Virginia.
Oh, the Greenbrier. Okay, so the Greenbrier then is where they shot all the employee
exteriors.
staffing.
Okay.
And the lodge on the lake is literally called the Lodge on the Lake, and it's in South Carolina.
Okay.
So they did all those big exteriors over there.
Okay.
Yeah, and like 22 days of filming or something. It was
Wow.
like a $4.5 million movie.
Yeah. That's amazing.
It's phenomenal.
I've got to go. You're the second person who's recommended that. I meant to watch it this weekend, and I ended up doing other things instead.
We have a new episode of Mandalorian that I haven't
There
seen.
is.
We figured
right.
it out.
There's two that I haven't talked about.
Okay. The last one I saw was the Magnificent Seven one, where they taught the
Yeah.
villagers how to fight.
Yeah. Well, with Kara, no,
That wonderful actress who plays the other bounty
the
hunter.
other bounty hunter.
Oh,
She plays like a special ops person, I think.
yes. Name escapes me. Nope.
You
We're gonna
remembered it
continue.
last week on the
Yes,
podcast.
we
Yeah,
did.
okay, sorry.
Yes, it's gonna
I thought that-
come to
I
me in
thought- I thought that
exactly
was-
5 minutes from now.
5 minutes after we start recording.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
Dr. Manhattan this.
I did watch. I did watch the latest Watchmen.
I didn't watch last night's yet.
Last night's I have not watched yet.
Then you watched the second to
No,
latest
I watched
Watchmen, which
the
was
second
exceptional.
the second to last one. Okay, can we do a spoiler? A little talk about.
Let's wait until the very end and talk about it at the
but
very
this
end.
is the one with Cal, right?
Yeah.
That's, oh shit, that is one of the great cliffhangers I have ever seen.
I would love. There's a turn and there's a moment, and when you go back and watch that episode again, because I watched it twice on the plane on the way back, I was like, I stopped watching it. I was like, I gotta watch that again. It's clapping on the plane, like that. Just to be clear, not a normal behavior.
No.
I turned around and just watched the whole thing. I fast forwarded a little bit, but I watched most of that whole episode 2 times in a row, and was just like, oh right, they told you. This is all. It's
Everything
all
is
there.
telegraphed.
Yeah, it's all there.
Amazing.
I mean, I think they've said it before, and again, I recommend the official Watchmen podcast, in which Lindelof and Craig Mazin discuss the decisions that go into writing the show and the writer's room and all the stuff. And they say there's this balance between confusion and mystery, right? You want there to be mystery, but you don't want necessarily, it is a fine line to walk, because if the clues aren't there for people to find out, then you will feel cheated when the reveals happen.
That's what makes the reveal cheap.
But the balance is, because of the hive mind that we exist in now,
It's
and
very
all it
difficult
takes-
to hide. It's
Yes.
very difficult. I mean, it's basically like I post a picture of some scraps on my floor, and someone's like, "Oh, well, clearly you've made the blah 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 armor from this movie."
Exactly.
Because
All
I
it takes is the
noticed
one
this
person to
shape."
guess,
Yeah.
and that's it. And everyone's like, "That's right. That's right." Now we will jump on this theory, and the surprise will be. So there is something to stepping away from the conversation and just enjoying the
it's
episodes.
lovely. I'm not
to week.
I'm not participating in conversation at all. But the other thing that's good about this is if it was an 8 episode or 9 episode drop on Netflix in one night,
Oh yeah.
somebody would blow through it all, and you wouldn't be able to look at Twitter until you watched all those episodes.
So I'm really enjoying this moment in time. I just got this new television. We did a breakdown and we've talked about it. I've been watching a ton more television, a ton more movies. I watched half of Once Upon a Time in the West last night.
It's a fantastic film.
Unbelievably great.
The first half or the back half?
The first half.
Okay.
At any rate, I've been really enjoying all the serialized television I've been watching, between The Mandalorian and The Morning Show and Watchmen, and there's something else, His Dark Materials. I'm like, every week I got stuff to keep up with, and that's been really lovely.
But The Mandalorian's not. It's not. It's
They're all
not
kind of
serialized.
capsule episodes.
Well, yeah, it's a show I can't get I can't get it all at once.
Yeah.
I have to wait for the next episode.
Yeah.
Gina Carano.
Gina Carano. Good job. I told you it was something Carano.
It's a very Dr. Manhattan thing I just did.
Yeah, it's there's something lovely about having appointment television.
Can I ask, is the episode, how many episodes of Watchmen do we have left?
One.
That's
So-
what I thought.
Well, you
Okay.
have this one that you
Yeah.
haven't watched yet. That neither of us have watched yet, and then next week.
I literally don't want to go home today. Well, we got a lot to do today.
There's a lot to do.
We have, can I say, we were just looking at a build that
Yeah.
I've been working on. I've been working on this build. It's a thing that I've been wanting to build for years. It came up as a new thing to build for this project we've got coming in this week. And last week I started diving into it, and it's grown into something that kind of exceeded my expectations entirely.
When you described it, everyone's like, okay, we get this build. It's in support of this other cool thing, but it is way more, you're way more obsessed about it. And you built it. The little details you're adding to it are the signifiers for your level of love for this thing.
Indeed. And it those little details all come from bins and boxes and bags of stuff that I've been storing for years
High-functioning hoarder.
for a rainy day that turns out to be this day.
Yeah.
So bits of lamp parts and old pieces of mechanics and other ideas and things that, I mean, I'm like going through the shelves and like, oh yes, that's what I've been saving this for that reason. Yeah. My favorite part is that everyone it tested keeps looking at it. It's really large, and they're like, "Where is it gonna live?"
It was the third
the-
question I asked, I think. It's like,
We're gonna move it over to the tested offices. You know
Yeah.
that's
it
where
could just be on the set. It'll be a new podcast.
These things are
Part
all
of the
open. We have
podcast set.
conversations off podcasts about this. We shall. Before we continue on with this week's episode, I want to let you know that Still Entitled this week is made possible with support from Keeps. 2 out of 3 guys will experience some form of male pattern baldness by the time they're 35. But Keeps offers proven treatments that can combat the symptoms of hair loss and help you keep the hair you have at half the cost of your local pharmacy. Keeps offers generic versions of the only 2 FDA-approved hair loss products out there, plus Keeps now offers prescription shampoos to keep your scalp healthy too. Keeps treatments are up to 90% effective at reducing and stopping further hair loss, and the sooner you start using Keeps, the more hair you'll save. With Keeps, you can visit a doctor online and get your hair loss medication delivered to your home. No more waiting in waiting rooms or pharmacy lines. Keeps treatments just start at $10 a month. Plus, for a limited time, you can get your first month free. That's one hell of a deal for getting to keep your hair. If you're ready to take action and prevent hair loss, go to keeps.com/untitled to receive your first month of treatment for free. Once again, that's KEEPS.com/untitled. Now back to the conversation. This past weekend, I was also at the Dickens Fair.
Oh, yes, I saw
yes.
Baby's first Dickens Fair
Yes.
post.
Yeah, he looked like a little
Chimney sweep.
Lord
Chimney
Fauntleroy.
sweep.
He
Yeah.
found his people
Yeah.
too. Found his fellow chimney sweepers. If you haven't been, it is a San Francisco Bay Area tradition for 20 years going now at the Cow Palace. Every time I tell someone who doesn't live in the Bay Area that it's something that's at the Cow Palace, they never hear it properly.
Cow Palace is
they're
a famous
what?
venue.
What is that? Cow.
Cal. You're
California.
like, the Beatles performed here, man.
Cow.
Yeah.
No, the cow.
You know, in the car
Bovine.
chase, at the end of
Bullet.
you can see it being constructed.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
Over Guadalupe Canyon.
Guadalupe Canyon.
You know, we
To
almost,
our old office.
during Mythbusters, we came within one day of getting all the correct permitting to replicate the bullet chase in all of the correct locations in San Francisco, including catching air on 22nd Street above Noe Valley,
Yeah,
and all the other ones.
like coming down the Fillmore Street or
that
whatever.
point, at that point, we were dealing with a city official who will still remain unnamed. This is like
Give it another
12,
20 years.
13 years ago.
Yeah.
But still, this city official was so difficult to deal with. They were like, you have to get a certain amount of neighbor permission
Yeah.
to shoot on a street. And they kept raising the number. It was clear that they didn't want us to film, and we kept on our production team on
Yeah.
Mythbusters was so good. We kept getting
You
all the
bang on
permissions.
the doors in San
and they were like,
Francisco and
"You
you
need
say-
50%,"
Yeah.
and so we got 50%. No, you need 75%, and we need 75%. And the day before shooting, they were like, "You need 100% buy off from everyone on that street." And we're like, "Yesterday you said 70%," and they were like, "Are you calling me a liar?" You know, that kind of crazy
Wow.
person.
That sounds great.
Yeah, was
I'm so sorry. That would have been amazing.
that was, every now and then you run into a weird one.
Lots of weird ones at the Dickens Fair.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Highly
So-
recommended. It is at the. It's
Did
not,
you and Danica dress up?
I was the time traveling photographer, so in modern day clothing, I was there to document the event.
Yeah.
But she did, and It's one of those crowded places you'll be, but it's run by the same people who run Ren fairs every year for like 5 weekends. They set up shop and turn this hangar space into essentially Victorian London, complete with shops and docks
Like
and their
storefronts and the
performing
whole thing, right?
halls
Yeah.
and storefronts. You can get some great food there, from your Yorkshire puddings to your sausages, or you can just watch people carol, sing. You can go into Charles Dickens' home and have a Charles Dickens impersonator read you a Christmas carol. And just spend a whole day there.
Wow. Sounds very festive.
Yes, there's a fake, there's a stage that's the Victoria and Albert Music Hall, and they do 18+ show 2 times a night, French postcard style.
Wow.
And
Wow.
Yeah, and it is a wonderful thing to attend.
That's
My
every
son
year.
performed at it back when he was in performing arts school. Well, actually, like performing arts middle school.
It's very immersive. I think in the modern day of the people being aware of performance, like immersive theater and things like Westworld.
Yeah.
It's very much like one of those experiences.
Nice.
Would it be more or less comfortable if they were robots?
Pretty more comfortable.
Yeah. I always find it a little uncomfortable when there's people like that are
performing
and it's like an interactive performance.
Did you?
Because all you can see is like them off hours at the bar, like,
Well,
Have
I had
you?
to deal with this guy.
so I did a not licensed Westwood escape room in LA once.
Okay.
And there were people there that were dressed up like robots. And it was one of the most, because they expected you to treat them like robots in Westworld. And it was profoundly uncomfortable because you're aware the whole time that they're people. And I'm like,
people.
I'm not going to do this.
No,
This is
I
not
can't.
okay.
Yeah.
There's a great Hannibal Buress bit where he talks about going to see Sleep No More.
Yeah.
And he's in a room and he walks into this room and it's empty. And the actors haven't arrived yet. And he lets rip this huge fart. And then the actors file in and he can see them.
The wince?
He can see them react to it. They can't not react to it. And then they do the scene. And as he leaves, he says, "It was a pleasure working with you."
It's funny,
awful.
but I empathize so much.
So that Sleep No More is not bad because you're wearing, like me wearing a mask makes it okay for me. I
Wow,
think.
that's sociopathic
Which is
thinking.
weird, right? Yeah.
Now we know who's the sociopath.
Hello. Hi. Do you want to talk about that Watchmen episode?
Okay,
for
let's
a minute?
talk. Let's do a little
okay.
bit of a spoiler discussion about the end of the second to most recent Watchmen episode.
Episode 7.
Episode 7.
Sick.
An awe-inspiring being, I want to say. It's not God
This
walks tuned to
this
Abar.
awe-inspiring being.
That's right. That's right.
Is that one?
I
That's the
believe
name of
that
that
is
one?
the
I will
episode.
tell you in like 2 seconds.
And we can even talk about episode 6, which was the one where Angela Abar takes the
She
nostalgia
takes all the
pills.
nostalgia and goes through her grandfather's
An almost
life.
religious awe is the
An almost
is
religious
the
awe.
7.
Almost
Yeah,
religious
7.
awe.
Yeah.
Okay, so the actress that plays the trillionaire remains phenomenal.
Lady
Yes.
True?
Yes, Lady
Yes.
True is
Yes.
truly an incredible performance, and she could be the villain of a Wachowski film. She's
She's inscrutable.
super compelling.
She could be in a Coen
Inscrutable
Brothers
and
film.
warm.
Yep. She has a very mannerist and yet warm way of she's just one of the most compelling actors in the show.
Did you say she was the villain?
No, I said she could
she
be
said
a
she could
villain.
be- okay, I was like,
she
I
could be a
don't-
phenomenal villain
I don't
or
think
a
she's the
phenomenal
villain.
hero.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I don't know who, I mean, I know that there are some people that are definitely villains.
There's a new episode that aired last night. I haven't seen it, but in the almost religious awe episode ends with her revealing to Angela Abar that the 7th Cavalry's plan is to kidnap Dr. Manhattan, who turns out to have been living as a person,
Human, yes.
He's been
embedded.
Yep. And we are full spoilers now.
yeah, full spoilers.
Last chance.
If you have not
Last
watched this,
chance
turn it
warning.
off. We're not going to do anything else after this.
Yeah.
We're just going to turn it off. When she said that, I was like, oh, and she started talking about true cases of amnesia, 100% amnesia, and I was like, oh shit,
Right.
because they planted that seed in like the first episode.
Also, I will point out that there was always I think, if I'm not incorrect, that there's always been an aspect to Angela and Cal's history in Vietnam that doesn't match up. Like, they were supposed to have spent time there in the military, and yet something about the way they've told that story doesn't match up to what we know about Angela's story leaving Vietnam.
And they talk around it.
Right.
we
intentionally.
still don't know. Do we know?
Angela's story of her leaving Vietnam happens much younger than she supposedly left
That's
Vietnam
it.
with Cal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that,
So-
I noticed that a couple of episodes ago of something's not quite, there's a piece of the story
Well, the
I'm not
nostalgia
getting.
episode has a little bit of that.
Yeah.
I
But I didn't put anything together.
that episode with the flashback to her parents dying in Vietnam because of a bomber.
Yeah.
Was intense. Then the turn with the grandmother amped it up even more, and then you get to the end with the hammer, and
I mean, where it turns out that
Cal is Dr. Manhattan, and I feel like this is a Douglas Adams bit also. Isn't there a Douglas Adams story where God is like walking along with the people and he doesn't know that he's God?
I don't
Isn't
remember.
that the man in the shack? Isn't that his role?
Are you talking about Dogma?
Oh, it is Dogma. No. There's a Douglas Adams character, the man who's the ruler of the universe.
Right.
That they go to visit. The Zaphod Beatbox goes to visit and ask questions.
There was a moment when Angela is standing there talking to Cal with a hammer in her hand. And she's like, you can see what's about to happen.
You knew, yeah.
You knew, and then you're like, I don't know why she's about to kill Cal, but clearly something important's about to happen. And then she drives the hammer in and pulls out.
Just works him for like 3 minutes for an uncomfortably long period of time.
Brutal. And then picks up the thing and you see the blue glow.
When she's like, baby, I know we knew this was going to have to happen. And he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And
it is I mean, I think I clapped at the television. I was like, oh!
I went like this on the airplane, and Gina looked at me like, you're going to get us, the air marshal's going to come.
What the show does great, because it has all these twists and turns and incredible callbacks to the comic book, of course, is that it still does what the original comic book did, which is it is this commentary on what it means to be a superhero. Why would someone put on a mask? And so they always call back to that Laurie Blake monologue when they're driving the car with Petey, where she lays out the thesis: people wear masks to hide their pain.
Right.
And then she goes, no, I wear a mask to protect myself. I goes, right, from the pain. And you see very clearly in that episode her Batman origin story, her parents dying at the hands. And so it is laid out in this episode that you guys haven't seen yet. It's called God Walks into a Bar. And it is their relationship, and it is all explained. And go into that.
Who's there?
Angela and Dr. Manhattan.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And you have to realize at that point in life, she hates Dr. Manhattan, right? Dr. Manhattan is the genesis of the
51st state.
Exactly, which led to her parents dying, and her relationship is in the orphanage painting Dr. Manhattan dolls.
Weird.
Growing up her whole life.
Wow.
And so that is unpacked.
Fascinating. Oh my God. I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
It is. I know we love both Mandalorian and Watchmen, but I think when you watch them side by side, you see how one is just candy and one is a digest.
What Damon's doing with it is some of the most amazing layered social commentary that about media, about superhero movies, but also about race and America and capitalism. I mean, it is this wonderfully deep dive.
I find myself thinking about it for almost the entire week. And then I then there's another episode for at least one more week.
It's really remarkable.
Is it true that they're only doing one season of this?
They said they're open to see. I think they knew it was a big risk to
thing.
do this show, period.
Yeah.
And so I think they all went into it not expecting, being prepared for it not to be received well. It could have very easily swung that way.
So it's going to be 9 episodes.
It'll be 9 episodes, but very likely they will work out a deal to do a second season.
I hope so.
That's the hope.
Like I haven't been this excited about a TV show, and this kind of, not even excited, just engaged. Like it is so relentlessly engaged. Like there's not a wasted minute in any of the 7 episodes I've seen so far.
Crackles along. Yeah.
And that's why I think this show does. That's what I think HBO does better than some of the other networks. They don't waste any minutes. I mean, any seconds writing.
Right. You don't feel like you're watching a bottle episode.
I like bottle episodes.
I'm not decrying bottle episodes. I'm just saying every now and then they show up like a sore thumb in certain shows.
Yeah. So like Mandalorian, you contrasted this with Mandalorian. I've thought about this a lot because I really like Mandalorian, but I don't. It is something that washes off of me in the moment the episodes. I'm like, I barely even remember what the episode that I've seen that Adam hasn't seen yet is about. But I remember watching it. And I remember enjoying it, and I remember thinking it was really pretty. Did you see how they're doing the scenery on that? By the way,
no.
I know we said we weren't going to talk about anything after the Watchmen bit, but they're building the scenery on Unreal, and they're putting the actors on the outside stages in front of LED TVs, big
right.
high resolution ones, and then they're tracking the position of the camera and they're perspective warping the 2D image on these scenes so that it looks 3-dimensional.
Oh my God.
But it's all rendered in real time, so they can, like, if Favreau's watching the scene, he's like, oh, we need to move this this mesa
gosh.
30 degrees to the right. They can just pick
Crazy.
it up and move it and it's unreal, so it just does it.
Oh my God.
It's magic.
I have to wrap this up.
Yeah, we're done. We'll be back next week.
We'll be back
With more
next
television
week.
discussion.
Yes.
What's up
Yeah.
on the site this week?
Good question. Good stuff.
Good stuff.
There's some good
I'm going to
stuff.
see Knives Out this week.
Where-
I'm going to
we-
commit to seeing Knives Out this week because I
commit
haven't
to
seen it
seeing
yet. I haven't
Knives
seen it
Out
in
this
theaters.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Star Wars is out next
I don't have
week.
tickets yet. I missed tickets.
Go find yourself some tickets,
I know.
Will.
I got to get that.
I'm going to be late with that one.
And my hope is that those of you listening out there, if you've listened this far, please give us your picks for interesting attractions, public places, places of interest
yeah.
that you like visiting and that you know is a good place to visit when there are no crowds.
Southern towns
Oh, yeah.
during football games.
All right.
College football games.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.